3, 2, 1. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second episode of the MRH Podcast. I am, of course, your host, Marcus Ray Hammond. And this is going to be a solo episode this week. I actually did have a guest lined up to talk to this week. His name was Steve Isaacson. You've probably seen some of my posts about him. And I was actually on my way to his house to do the podcast with him. And he called me and told me that something came up. He had some personal things come up. Just asked if we can reschedule it. And I said, fine, that's no problem. He texted me a little bit later. He said he was sorry and all that. And I texted him back. It's like, hey, no harm, no foul. I understand. I'm not mad at you. And again, I'm going to say it here, Steve, if you're listening right now, I'm not mad. That's just how it is. If something comes up, that's fine. What I've learned in my very short career in broadcasting is plans don't always come out the way you expect, and that is why you always have a backup plan. Well, that's what this episode this week is. This episode is my backup plan. I'm working out something with Steve right now to reschedule for another episode for another time. And I hope that will be happening soon, because Steve, he's just a good guy to talk to. So anyways, I just want to start off by saying that I can't believe it's October already. I cannot believe that, and I just say that I am so sad to see summer go. Summer is my favorite time of the year. It's my favorite season, and I'm just so sad. And it makes me even more sad to know that winter will be approaching soon and cold weather. I hate fall, but I especially hate winter. I am a lemonade guy. Give me an ice cold glass of lemonade during a hot day. I will take lemonade over pumpkin spice, whatever, every time. Not a big fan of pumpkin spice. I don't care for it. I mean, if it's offered to me, I will drink it. It's okay, but it's just not my favorite thing. And I hate winter, as I said earlier. I hate seeing everything dead. I hate seeing all the lawns yellow. I really don't think there's any redeeming factors about winter. I know episode 2, I'm already getting controversial, but there is nothing redeeming about winter. Actually, no, now that I think about it, there is one thing, and only this one thing, that I like about winter. But it happens so rarely that I don't even know if it's worth liking it. But when it does happen, it's beautiful. And I'm talking about the night after it snows all day. If that makes sense. Like, for example, here in Arkansas, we don't get a whole lot of snow in winter. We do, but not that much. But there's a point where it snows during the day. And at night, the clouds move out. So it's a cloudless night sky, and there's a full moon. And the light from the full moon reflects off the snow. And it's so beautiful to look at. Like, there's this beautiful, like, white tint around in the atmosphere. It's just so hard to explain, and I wish there was a good way to explain it and a good way to like show what I mean. But when it does happen, it's so beautiful to look at, and that's basically the only thing I like about winter. That little night. But again, it happens so rarely that it doesn't make up for winter. Well, enough about that, and let's just move on to what this episode's all about. This is episode 2, of course, and I just wanted to take this episode to reflect on my weight, the problems I've had with my weight loss now, and my future goals when it comes to my weight, and like what I'm hoping to start and what I'm hoping to accomplish with my weight loss. And so just a little background. When it comes to my weight, I've always been a kind of a chunky kid. I was a chunky kid growing up, but I was a little taller than most. I'm 6'1" now. So growing up, I was a little bit taller than the rest. And while I was chunky, I was able to use my height to hide my weight, which is always a good thing. But after I graduated high school, my weight started catching up with my height, and it started showing a little bit. And I just decided just to say hell with it. I'm just going to start losing weight. What I did to lose weight was P90X. It's an extreme workout. I remember having so much fun with it. It's about an hour and a half every day if you don't know too much about it, and you work out different muscle groups and whatever every day. And I just got to the point where every day that I did it, I was having so much fun. I remember losing weight like crazy. I think when I started this, I was about 265 pounds. And when I stopped doing it, or when I crashed out, and I'll explain why I crashed out later, I was at about 210. And then I was gaining some muscle. I had like almost a 6-pack. Like I was probably like probably a 4-pack. Like the top of my abs was showing, and I felt great. Well, there was a point where I did crash out, and I remember this vividly. And that happened in 2012. 2012 was just not a good year for me. It was actually a real depressing year for me, and it wasn't that whole world is ending bullshit. No, it wasn't because of that. And 2012, it was my final, let me think. No, it wasn't my final year at NWAC, but it was finals. It was in April. It was, around that time. So 2012 comes in, and it's around finals. Or around the same time, my last grandparent dies, my grandmother, and she was the grandparent I was closest to most. But when she died, it just absolutely just tore me up on the inside. Her funeral was around the times of finals were happening at NWAC. So I had to message my professors that, I was going to miss some of my finals because I did attend my grandmother's funeral. But one professor, and it's always one professor, it was my trigonometry professor. He told me that, no, that's not acceptable. Either you take your final or you are going to fail. And I just remember being so pissed off with that, with the whole situation. He just wouldn't let me take the day to attend my grandmother's funeral. And so I had to work it out. I had to message like top people at NWAC. I think I messaged the dean to talk about this. I was like, hey, there's no way I can do it. Please just talk to him. Is there anything I can do? Basically I was just begging just for that day off so I can attend my grandmother's funeral. And there was a bunch of stress building up inside of me. Finally, the dean got back to me and she said, yeah, I'll talk to him. Then finally my professor was like, all right, fine, you can take it on this day. But I know he wasn't happy because I'm sure he probably got in trouble, or I don't know. Anyways, it was just a stressful time. And I remember the day after my grandmother's funeral, I went to Eureka Pizza, which is a local pizza chain around here. I ordered a large pepperoni pizza and a large plain cheese pizza. And I went home and I ate both of them by myself in one sitting. I just completely crashed out. And that was the last time for about 4 or 5 years that I ever was healthy. And during those 4 or 5 years, I just became lazy and I drank a lot of soda. Like, it was ridiculous amounts of soda. I remember waking up and having a headache because I wanted a soda so bad. I would go get Route 44 drinks from Sonic and drink it on my way to class at the university by the time I transferred to the university. And that was basically my coffee. And when I left home, I would stop by a Sonic and get another Route 44 drink, which is 44 ounces of soda, and I would drink it on my way home. And not only that, I started eating a lot of sweets. I remember eating whole packages of Oreos in one sitting. I did that a lot, and I gained all that weight that I've lost. I've gained back, plus I gained another 50 pounds. Flash forward to the end of my time at the university. I graduated in December 2017. I was 305 pounds. And I just felt like shit. I just felt like garbage. So for this past year, I have been slowly losing weight again. And I am hoping, and my goal, I'm not hoping, I am going to be getting back on P90X to get back to that thin, lean, sexy look that I've always wanted. Now, how I started this, this is no easy task of just, picking up and start working out again when for 4 or 5 years you just let all those muscles that you've worked and toned, you just stop using them. Like, it's a lot harder to work out for a long time, stop, and start working out again. So what I did to help lose my weight, I bought myself a Fitbit knockoff around my wrist. They call it an iFit because that's the only thing I could afford at the time. And basically, I set up a workout program with me, and I personalized it, and it told me to do 10,000 steps a day, which is about 5 miles. Just do that every day, and then we'll go from there. So I did that, and I remember having such a hard time doing this. And I started this probably around the end of April this year. I had a hard time doing this. I couldn't believe it. That I just couldn't walk for 5 miles without getting heavy breath. It just made me feel like shit. Like, there was one point where I could do an hour and a half of plyometrics from P90X or another hour and a half of yoga, no problem. But now I'm at the point where I couldn't even walk almost a mile without, heavy breath, sweating, and like my heart just pounding so fast, and it just made me feel like garbage. And like I said, I have started in April. It is now October 2nd. And 305 pounds was when I first started. I am now down to 245 pounds. I've done more cardio than anything now. I've done some weightlifting, not a whole lot. That's going to come later. I've broken down this plan to be objectives, and I'm at the end of objective 1. So I want to talk about the objectives real quick, and these are objectives that I've set myself. Objective 1, I just call it waking up the body. And it was just, what I did was just I started walking 10,000 steps a day, which is about 5 miles, and I'll explain that. The second objective is the actual workout part, and I'm going to get back on this workout program that I did. I did P90X. I loved it. It was fun, and it's always something I wanted to do again, so I'm going to start doing that. That is where I am now. Objective 3 is to find out where you and I are going to go on our first date. And I'll let that one speak for itself. So anyways, as I was saying, I am on Objective 2, the beginning of Objective 2. And I have kept a journal, which I did just for my running. It was just to record the times and how fast and whatnot. So I'm going to do that for P90X. Like, keep track of how many sit-ups, pull-ups, and all that I have done. And I am going to post that on, I don't know if I'm going to do that on my personal Facebook or I'm going to do it on the MRH Facebook page. I'm not sure yet. I'll figure it out. So just wanted to update on my point of my life where I am right now. I wanted to keep this short because I don't find myself that interesting. The whole point of this podcast was just to talk about interesting people and talk with them. So I think that will end it for this episode. And as always, I always appreciate your support. It helps me out a whole lot. And I just want to say goodbye. We don't have to love each other, but we don't have to hate each other. So let's be good people.